Hi everyone, quick recap. We are in France, traveling on the Great Alpine road, RG for short, from Thonon to Menton, through more than 17 high passes of the Alps and taking some detours along the way. There were golden years, and we hardly had any rainy days during our trips. Everything was sunny and happy. The rain gear just collected dust in the box and had to be replaced because the creases got permanent and the material ripped. In the last few years, the situation have completely turned around. We can feel the global climate change on our own skin if the water membrane fails in our jackets. By now, I consider ourselves rain connoisseurs. No weather condition would stop us, as long as it's not freezing. So don't get me wrong, I'm not against the rain. I get used to it by now. But I really hate starting the day already in rain gear. But I quickly forgot about all of this when we got to Col de Vars. This place is impressive, even in these conditions. A local group with naked bikes caught up with me. When I had the opportunity on the straight sections, I waved them to pass me, and I tried to keep up with them while still staying on the safe side. I don't want to brag, but I will, obviously, because when we met again at the top of the pass, they showed me their recognition for keeping up with them. Showed because I still don't speak French, so we have resorted to hand signals. According to their miming, I should call my bike Snake instead of Hippopotamus. Maybe Green Anaconda? That's the biggest snake species on the earth, and this is a Kawasaki after all. Although the biggest anaconda ever recorded was just around 230 kilograms or so, not more than 300 like this bike.
Ah, dis donc, la Kawa là-bas, même combat. Oh putain. On fait une photo tous ensemble.
Two things are almost certain on these mountainsides: snow and photographers. The former is the reason why we have chosen July as a date to come, and the latter is the reason why I have spent later hours on the website trying to find ourselves. We have lots of videos and photos of our rides, but none of them from a point of view of a bystander. We don't take a camera crew with us. And when we ride together with others, we make videos of others, but still no evidence of our magnificent time on the hills. These photographers are not cheap, and not all of them are talented. Some of the pictures are poorly composed, the lighting is just not right, and the background is boring. But some of them are quite good. I will put in a few which we have actually purchased to support the local talents. They won't always be at the correct geographical spot, but at least you get a picture of what to expect from them. Usually on the next pass there's a molino with the address of the website where you can find yourself by the date and hour. What you can't and shouldn't expect on the roads is railing. Many narrow roads with very deep chasms right next to it are completely without any barrier, not even a lousy row of dry baguettes. It makes you think twice about your speed much more effectively than any speed bumps, I tell you that. Sometimes you have a low rock barrier that would actually just tip you over and send you down on the side of the hill cartwheeling instead of just sliding, so don't try that. Up there, because of the clouds, the grandiose view and feeling of infinite space was gone. We felt trapped between the earth and heaven, not wanting to actually cross that border just yet. Luckily, as we have descended to the valley, the weather cleared up, and we could finally pack the rain gear and didn't need it anymore on this trip. How's that for foreshadowing? The colors returned, and we just couldn't comprehend the blue of the sky and the lush green of the hillsides after all this grey and washed out brown for days. The road was filled with motorcyclists. They were everywhere. Guys on speed bikes and classic ones, lone wolves and big groups, local riders, and from afar, everyone was just after the bends and the view. Here it was apparent this is a very big playground for grown-ups. Sitting on a motorcycle, wearing a riding gear from head to toe, you can be anyone, from any gender, from any part of the world, going at whatever speed. Everyone is just like us. We are all the same, we are fond of the same thing. And it's possible motorcycles of the future won't run on gas, but that won't change anything that's really important. And that is, apparently, making a photo of your bike in front of every sign, like it was your greatest treasure and achievement. These passes are traditionally part of the Tour de France route. The current route is always changing, but there are recurring elements. When I was planning this trip, I checked this year's tour program to avoid the roadblocks. We had about 2 weeks before we got here. Col du Télégraphe is not high, but it opens up the road to Col de Galibier, which was a high point for the last year's tour, but for some reason they left it out from this year's itinerary. I don't know why. It was a perfect opening for this section, an overture if you want, the Ride of the Valkyries. From here it was all above 2K. Col du Lautaret, Col de Vars, Col de Vars. We are riding in the clouds again, and sometimes almost above the clouds, at arm's length from the mentioned Valkyries. The surroundings were often raw and isolating. Despite all the other riders around, I could easily picture myself on a remote planet with no civilization at all, except for the road maybe. I need that. Of course, everything changes. The once empty passes are getting commercialized. The row of shops are being built on the Izoard. Nothing stays the same for all eternity. But if you have the energy, a short walk upwards the hill and you can be all alone again. Very few people take the trouble to come up here and leave their bikes for this short time. It was great to rise above the world, watching the marching ants below, let the sun and the wind kiss our faces until it turned red. The planned trips for the days were not too long, around 250-300 kilometers, so we can have opportunities like this, enjoying the moments or even hours on these spots. It was nice not being in a rush, with the urge to push on, chasing the plan, trying to hit the milestones which we have set for ourselves. Now it was time to just enjoy the trip and then leave. In the early times, I've often overplanned the days, with lots of stops and long distances, and I often got frustrated when we didn't reach the goals in time or had to leave something out. I have to admit, this state of mind took me a few years, maybe a decade to finally reach. It helps to have someone at the backseat who has a different mindset and reminds me we are not in a hurry, we are here for the road itself. As a shakedown, we took a short detour to visit Pont de Châtelet, a small and narrow bridge over a very deep and narrow gorge. I know it's been standing there since 1888, but somehow I didn't feel the urge to stand there and look down. What if something just happens in the minute I'm there? We can't risk that. Barcelonnette was our home for 2 nights. After these high passes, we tend to lose our sense, but this small town is still at 1135 meters above sea level, which is higher than Hungary's, our home country's, highest peak, which kinda ruins it for us now. Barcelonnette looks like a really nice place for a motorcyclist to settle down. Whichever direction you choose, you will find one of the greatest passes of the Alps. Pretty little old town, full of restaurants, narrow streets and nice people. In the next episode, we will take a day off from the RGA and go on a journey visiting the highest paved road in the Alps.